Hello guys, welcome to Z's Cake Boutique. This is where all the cake magic happens. Thank you for tuning in. Today we are going to be learning how to trim and crumb coat our cakes. I'm going to be sharing a lot of tips and tricks, so don't skip the video and watch till the end. We'll start by layering our cakes. This is a fruit cake that I'm working on. It's actually a wedding cake that I am working on. I'm going to be doing 4 layers of this cake, and if you noticed, I didn't level this cake. That's because it doesn't have a dome, number one, and also I don't want to reduce the size of the cake. I'm aiming for the cake to be at least 8 inches high, so I won't be leveling much of the cake. So now I'm adding the second layer of the cake. Now I was very generous with my buttercream. If you're in this part of the world, you know that this is generous. You don't want to use too much buttercream in between your layers, because we don't freeze American buttercream in this part of the world, so you don't want to put too much buttercream in between your layers so that it doesn't get wobbly, and also it doesn't bulge when you're done decorating your cakes. Okay, so when you look at this cake, you'll find that one side, I'm showing you now, that side is actually lower than the other. So what I will do is try to level it with the next cake that is coming on it. Now this is the next cake. Watch closely, you will find that on this cake also one side is lower. So we're going to add the lower part of this cake to the higher part of the other cake, and then the higher part of this third cake to the lower part of the other cake. I hope you understand what I'm saying. It's basic calculation, I guess. So this is how I get to level my cakes when they bake this way. Because if I want to level this cake, I'm going to take out a lot from it, and I don't want that. That is why I am leveling it this way. But I would like to add that the reason I'm able to do it like this is because my cakes bake flat. They don't come with a dome. If your cake comes out with a dome, you want to take out that dome because it wouldn't rest on each other well. My cakes usually bake flat, so that is why I'm able to do it this way. Okay, so if you know that your cake usually comes with a dome, please take out that dome before you stack your cakes on each other. So our cake is about 8.5 inches high. So by the time we are done trimming and all of that, it should be around 8 inches, which is actually what I was aiming for. So onto trimming our cakes. This is how I like to start trimming my cakes. I hold my knife horizontally and start shaving down, as opposed to the vertical way. Now with this way, why I like to start this way, you get to take off less from the cake while still achieving a well trimmed cake. Now if you notice, I'm not taking off much from the cake. I usually don't like to over trim my cakes, so this is why I go this way. I'm not taking off much from the cake. I'm just trying to put all of them at the same level. That is why I start this way. Now, holding the knife vertically, sometimes the knife caves in and over trims and all that. But when I start like this, it acts as a base for when I will run my knife through it vertically. So this is how you want to go, especially if you are a beginner in trimming cakes. This is the safest way to go. So you start halfway through the cake and start leveling it down, and then you flip it over and continue from there. So faves, if this is your first time of watching my video, you're welcome to my channel. My name is Ruth, and on this channel I share cake decorating tips and tricks. I also share fail-proof recipes, and once in a while I do cake business chit chats. If that's the kind of content that you like, then subscribe to this channel. Like this video if it was helpful to you, and comment. Let's connect, okay? Now I'm going to switch the way I'm holding my knife. I'm now running it vertically. You just want your knife to rest on the cake. Don't hold it at an angle. Let your knife rest on the cake, and then you go zigzag like I am doing. We are just trying to make the cake come together. We are not trying to take anything out of it. We just want it to be neat. It's time to flip the cake, so I'll get a board so that I can flip it and trim the other way around. This is a 12 inches cake, so believe me, it is heavy. So I'm going to trim it again. Now this cake, I want to cover this cake with fondant. That's why I'm going through all this stress. I usually don't trim my buttercream cakes this much, if I even trim at all. I don't like to trim buttercream cakes. Like I told you earlier, I don't like to trim cakes. So for buttercream, I just go like that. But you know, fondant brings out all imperfections, so we have to make sure that the inner part of the cake is well trimmed, so that your fondant work will be neat. We're going to trim. As you can see, the cake is coming together pretty well, and not much is being taken out from it. So the more you do this, the more you get the hang of it, okay? I want you to observe something here. You see how straight the knife is sitting on the cake? That is how you want to hold your knife, okay? You don't want it angled. If not, your trimming won't be straight. Just keep your knife straight on the cake. And then once in a while, you want to step aside and see from afar if your cake has places you need to trim more or less. I'm just going to keep trimming. Trim. Trimming a cake takes time, okay? I'm not gonna lie. If you can't go this way, just buy a trimming disc and save yourself time. Guys, when we get to 1K subscribers, I'm going to be dropping the recipe for this amazing fruit cake, wedding cake, whatever you want to call it. So make sure to hit the subscribe button and also share with fellow bakers. Now it's time to flip the cake back. Okay, 1, 2, go. Yeah, see, I almost lost grip of my cake there. We're just adding final touches here and there before I move to the top of the cake. For the top, you just want it to be leveled. I'm not trying to take out much of it. I want it to be straight. I did use a cake plum to get the top well leveled. If you want me to make a detailed video on how to use a plum on a cake, just tell me in the comments, okay? I didn't show much of it here. I just trimmed and used the plum to level it. But basically what you want to do is to make sure that the top of your cake is leveled. Finally, onto the crumb coat. And what I'm doing right now is adding the cake crumbs that I removed from the cake, that I shaved off the cake. I'm adding it to the buttercream. This is going to make your buttercream a little bit firmer. This is like low budget ganache, okay? So you don't want to add too much of it and you don't want to add too less. I'm going to show you the consistency in a minute. Okay, this is it. You don't want this mixture to get too hard that it starts pulling off the crumbs from your cake. As you can see, it's still gliding normally, on top of the cake. Now the essence of doing this is to make your buttercream covering to be a little bit firmer, since we are going to be covering with fondant. Okay, you want the buttercream to be firm a bit, and also it's going to cover those lines properly. You know, the lines where the layers are joined, is going to cover it properly, as opposed to using just buttercream. Okay, you're not going to see those lines anymore. Most times those lines tend to peek through after covering your cake with fondant. So that's that. Cover your cake as you normally would with your buttercream. A thin layer is fine, because you remember this cake is going to be covered with fondant, so we don't need too much buttercream on it. A thin layer is fine, and that's why it's important to put the crumbs in the buttercream. Okay, so now I'm smoothing the cake using a scraper. I'm just running it through. I'm not trying to take out any of this buttercream that I've applied on it. I'm just trying to make it smooth. And then once in a while you'll see that there are holes. You want to cover those holes using your buttercream, and then go around it again until you get a smooth layer. If you're working on a fruit cake and you find a spot where the fruit is bulging out, just take out the fruit and then cover it, replace it with buttercream, so that it doesn't affect the smoothness of the cake. So right now I've gotten what I want, and I just want to work on the edges of the cake. I need it to be sharp, so that's what I'm working on. You just want to make sure that you have good edges. Okay, we're almost done here. Kindly hit the like button if this video was helpful to you in any way. Drop a comment in the comment section if you have any questions or contributions, and then subscribe for more amazing contents like this. This is the cake after covering with fondant. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.